Welcome to today's session, the Outbound Equation, how to secure high quality meetings. My name is Amy Gabriel, Demand Generation Manager at ZoomInfo. I'll be your host and moderator today. We are so thrilled you've joined us to hear more about securing high quality meetings. We have a ton of ground to cover, so I'm going to get right into housekeeping. If you're experiencing any technical issues, let us know by utilizing the Q&A on your screen or simply refresh. This is a web-based platform. Normally that knocks out most of the problems. Use the Q&A feature on the right of your screen to ask questions as they come up. Feel free to submit them while we're speaking. There's a lot of time, lot to cover today, and we hope to have a lot of time to answer your questions. We are recording this event. You will receive an email with a link to the recording within 48 hours after we conclude. And the last bit of housekeeping is that ZoomInfo is a publicly traded company. This presentation may contain forward-looking statements. Any buying decision you make should be made based only upon currently available products and offerings. So back to the task at hand here. Today, we're joined by Jason Bay, founder and CEO of Outbound Squad. Jason has trained sales teams at companies ranging from early stage startups to enterprise orgs like Zoom and Shopify. Jason, thank you so much for joining us today.
Super excited. I'm usually at Outbound Squad. We are hosting these webinars and inviting y'all on, and you have decided to invite me on for whatever reason today. No, I'm super excited though. We worked with 250 plus sales teams in the last 5 years. So the perspective that we have is just what does best in class look like across a lot of different industries, personas, business segments, SMB versus enterprise. So I'm excited to bring that perspective today.
Awesome. Thank you so much. And also joining us from ZoomInfo today is Calvin Flax. He's a manager of sales development. Calvin leads an SDR team on the front lines of Outbound every single day. He brings a real world perspective on what's moving the needle right now. So thanks for joining us, Calvin.
Happy to be here.
Awesome. So let's start with what everyone in the audience is likely seeing out there. Why is Outbound so hard right now? What sorts of things are impacting connect rates? Jason, you want to kick us off?
Yeah, I can start first, Calvin, if you don't mind. I think if we kind of step back and look at what the macro buying environment looks like, things are, especially if you're an account executive, you're probably feeling like things are a lot tougher than they were like 2 or 3 years ago in terms of buying. So there's a couple of things that I think are really important to understand about the buyer that really frame up why outbound is so hard. And for context, I've been in the outbound cold calling. My first job was going door to door at 18. That was in 2007. So I've been in the game for almost 2 decades now, and it's dramatically shifted in the last 2 or 3 years. I think one, buyers are inundated with options. So if you think about it, if you sell an HR solution, for example, you literally have hundreds of competitors that your buyers can go to for payroll, how they manage the IT component of HR, how they manage compliance. Like every single category literally has hundreds of options. And statistically, 56% of buyers experience buyer's remorse. So think about the last time you bought a t-shirt at the store that you didn't like and you wanted to return it or you couldn't return it. B2B buyers experience this with multiple 5, 6, 7-figure purchases where they purchase software like yours and they regret it a year later because it does not actually deliver the outcome. So they're jaded. Your buyers have a lot of options and they are jaded. The second thing is economic uncertainty. So in the US, I know this is probably an international audience, but if we use the US as an example, we've had the longest bull run in American history from 2009 to 2020. We had a little blip there with COVID, and then it spiked again until 2022. So if you sold software during that time, especially, money was out there from VC and PE-backed firms that they had to spend. Now every purchase is being highly scrutinized. So we're seeing longer sales cycles. It's taking longer to buy. People want to get started smaller, et cetera. And I think the last thing, anyone here that's in Gen Z, I think would certainly appreciate this. Attention is just infinitely harder to capture in 2026. I had a TikTok account for like 2 days as an experiment a couple years ago. And after using it, I could not stand to watch a 5-minute video on YouTube. like the attention span is just so short. Like people get so many emails and calls and LinkedIn messages and texts. Like we're just so inundated with messaging. So all of that has led to an average reply rate to an email of around 1%, a success rate on a cold call of around 4.5%. So it's very, very hard. That's my long-winded wind-up, y'all, on why outbound is so tough right now and what we're seeing in the marketplace.
Calvin, what's your take?
Yeah, and I think like as being on the front lines of this stuff, like day in and day out, Jason gave us a lot of really set the stage for how difficult what we do is. But I will say, like, tough luck. Like, that's the world we're in. And so there are strategies to getting connects right now. There are strategies to booking meetings and having conversations and having people buy. Like, the show must go on in terms of like the microeconomic state of everything and the meetings and pipeline that we need to build.
Okay, cool. We know it's hard to connect, but here's the million-dollar question for both of you. Are you going after the right people in the first place? What's the smarter way to build your target when you can't afford to waste a single touch point? Calvin, you want to take
I went
this one?
first. Yeah, I went first last time, Kevin. Go ahead.
Yeah, sure. So I think we actually play with this all the time. Actually, I personally was a rep that made a ton of calls, like a ton of calls, and my current director came to me and said, "Hey, imagine you're limited in the amount of outreach that you can do. Like,
I love that.
don't think about calling as
Yeah.
many people as you can.
Yeah.
Think about if we put a limit on the number of conversations you could have, who would you call then?" Right? So, and that just kind of got me thinking, how many of these people that I'm calling and how many of the people that my reps are calling now, like, are never going to take a meeting with us. They're never going to complete. They're never going to move a sales cycle through. And so even if we did do, and I kind of brushed over this in my last answer, even if we are calling a lot of people, double tapping mobile numbers, leaving voicemails, calling 5+ people per account, and changing up our dialer here and there, like even if we do all that stuff, if we're not connecting with good fit titles at good fit companies, then like none of that really even matters. Right? So building a list of the right people at the right companies will never not work is the moral of the story for me.
Yeah. So if I had to double click on that, I think that's a great point, Calvin. I dropped in the chat the kind of three-part framework that we think about this. It's disqualify, offer, and commit. I'll speak to the first one. Basically, Calvin, what you said is it's so brilliant because in sales we talk a lot of about disqualification or qualification. Is this a good fit? We talk about BANT, we talk about MEDPIC, MEDIC, whatever it might be. We have all of these qualification frameworks to say, is this worth spending my time on this deal? And you know how we approach outbound? It's the exact freaking opposite of that. We say, who are all of the people in our TAM, our total addressable market, and let's reach out to every single person that we can. And the reason why that's not smart to do with outbound, I don't want to say that was smart to do in the past, but it was easier to get away with.
Mm.
The average amount of touches is, it takes 12 to 15 touches across email, phone, and social to make contact with someone. So if you're going to put that much effort in, you should be really picky about who you decide to put that level of effort into. So you need to disqualify the majority of people that you could reach out to. If I had to give you something really practical to do, and there's so much AI out there that can just literally do this on a daily basis for you if you want, the first exercise we do with every client is just revisiting their ideal client profile. We worked with a cybersecurity client. They had 8 industry industries that they were reaching out to. And it would be the difference, like Calvin, for example, like imagine if your team was reaching out to like Fortune 1000 manufacturers and people that make stuff, and then Fortune 1000 fintech, banks, and things like these are two totally different types of companies that sure they purchase the solution and the solution does the same thing, but their use case is dramatically different. It's kind of like how marketing would use ZoomInfo versus how sales uses ZoomInfo, even though it's the same product, right? So what we did was we said, hey, let's analyze in the previous 6 months. So this is the action that everyone can take here. If you're a rep, look at the previous 6 months of closed won and closed lost deals and look for patterns in things like employee count, industry. Are there sub niches? So instead of just saying we work with software companies, maybe it's software companies that sell B2B fintech, right? And get like really narrow in your niche. And what you're going to find is that, and what this client found is that manufacturing and med tech, those are the two industries that responded best to their solution. So we focused all of the outreach on them, and like literally overnight, we increased meetings by 25%. And it was just like literally overnight with that simple fix. The next layer that you can do is on the persona level. So we've talked account level and narrowing down the ICP. On the persona level, we're like, dude, there's 5 different roles that you're reaching out to. SecOps, security operations, and cybersecurity are the 2 ones that engage in first meetings the most. We're only going to focus on them. We're not going to reach out to the other people. And a layer under that, this is why ZoomInfo is so brilliant, is you should be looking at signals, triggers, new hires. So you should have this like very narrow, refined list. And the idea here is that you're treating your funnel less like a funnel and more like a martini glass. The martini glass shaped pipeline is I take all of my top of funnel and I shrink it down and I just go really deep on fewer opportunities. So that's something really actionable that you can do to disqualify and say, I'm going to not engage with 80% of my target total addressable market or my accounts or whatever I mean, because they're undeserving of my outbound attention.
That's such a great point. I live in Vancouver, Washington. I'm out here right now in Waltham, Massachusetts at our office here. And I'm here on an assignment to address ACV per SDR. ACV per SDR, right? And it kind of got us down this rabbit hole of like, where are the wins coming from?
Yes.
And so when I was a rep, like, I don't know how to say it. Everything worked out. I didn't really even think about that. It was just call, book, everybody bought. It was great. Easy. I get on this, start looking at the data from my team. 90% of the closed won revenue that we have this year, or even the last 7 months, 5 months, is where our first point of contact was the vice president. 90%. Like, I mean, that like broke my brain, because we certainly are not calling 90% VPs and above, directors and above.
Yeah.
So why? And then we literally changed that at the very end of last month, and we had reps immediately. That's what made me think of it, is that like immediately we saw an impact, period. People booked more meetings in the last 3 to 5 days of last month than they booked the entirety of the month.
Yes. It's kind of crazy. Like, this is what I love about, like, Copilot can help you do a lot of the stuff now.
Oh yeah.
Before, you needed like a RevOps person that was like an expert, like spreadsheet junkie to pull all of these pivot tables and like do all this crazy shit. Hopefully I'm allowed to use profanity on here. And now you can just use the tool. Like, it's sitting right inside ZoomInfo. A lot of the CRMs have this kind of stuff built in. But you account executives on the call doing full cycle sales. So for those of you that are building pipeline and closing deals, and some of you are probably even managing the customer, like, you have to do this. You only have a couple hours a day where you can do outbound. You have to do this.
And Jason, I don't want to make this like a ZoomInfo conversation, but have you seen Studio at all? Like, have you seen
No, I
Go-to-Market
haven't.
Studio from ZoomInfo? Oh my god.
No.
Imagine, I mean, you can insert, imagine you have the Salesforce data that you have right now. Cool. Which is visible in ZoomInfo, which is also
Mhm.
cool. So you can see the contact information for the people at your open opportunities. Makes perfect sense. What Go-to-Market Studio does is allow you to pull any field from anywhere, the entirety of the internet, and put that, view the data through that lens as well. So
Cool.
imagine if, for an example, I was talking to a company the other day that built in-ground storage tanks, right? So they wanted to be able to go out and prospect in a new business. These are companies that exist in our Salesforce. They're not owned by anybody else or a customer. And then the big blind spot there was, do they have a tank right now? And is it a good time for that tank to be replaced? And that was the third field that we could throw in Studio.
Mm.
So not only could you see the accounts and who's showing what sorts of signals and everybody who works there, but we can also pull in a field for AI combing the entirety of the internet and telling us whether that business had an in-ground tank that was installed before 2000. Go. And it's right there. And like the challenge then becomes, how creative can you get? And that's what we're
Yeah.
challenged right now, because we're so inundated in the mindset of ZoomInfo and these signals and these scoops and this intelligence that like we're having trouble even coming up with ways that we can go beyond that, you know?
Yeah.
And we think about it really well with other people's companies. It's easy to look at a website and think, hey, there's a field that this company might want to see that they never dreamed of. But like, how you do it for yourself, I don't know. Like it's a challenge.
Yeah. I
That's
think this.
really interesting, right? It kind of like starts to segue into like that buyer centric messaging, right? Am I not following?
Yes, that's exactly what it is.
Yes.
Having that be the anchor for the conversation that you want to have over the phone.
Okay, so
Yep.
Jason, can you tell me a little bit more about buyer centric messaging and your approach to that?
Yeah. So I'm seeing in the chat, which you guys in the chat are freaking hilarious, by the way. So I'm seeing a lot of stuff in there around like, um, my phone calls are not breaking through. No one responds to my voicemails. How do I get a VP to respond to my email? The reframe that I would make around messaging, there's kind of like I hate to even say this, but there's a 100 level thing that a lot of reps are not doing. And at ZoomInfo, you guys talk about customer voice versus product voice, which I talk to a lot of our customers about. It's the idea that when someone asks you, hey, so what do you guys do? If I was selling Outbound Squad or training services, product voice sounds like, yeah, we're a training company. We've worked with some cool companies like Zoom, Shopify, and Rippling, and we build playbooks. We do workshops with reps, and we teach the managers how to reinforce it. That's product voice. I just told you all about what we do.
Huh.
Customer voices. You know what, Calvin? That's a great question. I'm not sure if you're experiencing this, but almost every VP of sales that I talk with wants their account executives to self-source more pipeline. Marketing leads are starting to run dry. MQLs are super expensive right now, and they do not want them depending on the SDR team to fill all of their pipeline. How does that like resonate with you and what you're seeing in your day to day? That's
Oh,
customer voice. I'm I'm talking about a problem through the lens of the customer. That's table stakes, you guys. You have to do that.
yes.
Okay, the 200 and 300 level of this is the second part of the framework I shared in the chat. Disqualify, offer is the second part. The offer, it answers this question. What will I learn by hopping on a call with you if I decide not to purchase your products or services? I'm going to give you several examples of this. let's just start with ZoomInfo as an example. One of the campaigns that you guys run that's like brilliant is like you'll share a screenshot. One of you guys showed us on another webinar. You'll share a screenshot of like specific companies looking for services or products like theirs in their geographic area. That's that's one heck of a gift, dude. Right? That is an offer of value that's saying, hey, you have a problem finding people that are in market for your services. Let me show you who that is so you can see a sample of it. Let's hop on a call so I can show you the rest of them. Like that's an offer, right? Another type of offer, we worked with an e-com company. And the e-com company, because they could go on a website, they could go through the checkout process and they could see stuff that wasn't working. So they would do free cart audits. So I could reach out and say, hey Calvin, imagine if I was cold calling. Hey Calvin, I was on your website and I noticed that when I tried to do same day delivery in my zip code, it didn't work. And the reason I'm reaching out is I know that's a really big priority for you right now at Home Depot. Do you got a minute for me to share the reason for my call? It's Jason. Like, who's not going to take that call? Right? I have something to like share with you right there. Another type of offer, and this is because you might be thinking, well, hey, I don't know if I can do that because like what I sell isn't visual on a website. I don't sell data like ZoomInfo does. Every single one of you can do what's called selling the blind date. So the blind date, when you cold call someone, you are setting up a meeting either for yourself or for someone else. And you need to like hype up, just like you would hype up a blind date that you're setting up for a friend. You need to hype up the person they're going to be meeting with. Some of you sell a service and you've been the customer before. Like we have a customer that sells ed tech into school districts, and a lot of the reps are previous teachers. You should tell them that you're previously a teacher of a decade, and you could talk about how like learning is changing in the classroom. We have another client that sells an automated welding solution. And what they say is, hey, I'm really excited to connect you with Calvin, my account executive. He's going to walk you through how we're working with companies like Caterpillar right now and helping them deal with, one, the labor shortage of welders, but two, how they're automating traditionally very hard to automate welding parts. You're going to get a ton of value from that meeting. Again, it's like, that's really hard to say no to because like, you're going to teach me something. Data shows 91% of B2B buyers feel like salespeople they meet with do not understand them or their business. 58% feel like the sales meetings they attend are a complete waste of time. So you just saying, I'd like to show you a demo of my product or walk you through my solution is like, that's not a good enough reason to meet. You need a compelling offer. The offer is what makes the phone call, the email, makes all of that punch through the noise. So if you're just going through the motions of like, yeah, I'm making my calls, dude, and I'm leaving voicemails and doing all of these things, you need to think about how can I use the offer to help all of that punch through. That is the thing that will get people to take a meeting with you.
Yes. And this stuff, you might hear something from me or something from Jason that where you're like, I am so light years away from there. I'm so light years away from this sort of stuff. But like I see it day in and day out. I brought on 13 reps last year, grew my team from 5 to 15, right? Varying different folks. But what Jason is talking about there, it does work. And if you did nothing but found a way to put an offer in some of your messaging, I guarantee you will see better results. And if you need some help doing that, do not hesitate to reach out to me on LinkedIn and we will work it out. Because like following the letters of what Jason is talking about will absolutely change the game for you.
Yep. If I had to give some examples, Susan Lush in the chat says, I sell trucks. The internet won't tell me who has trucks, let alone how many, the types, just shows typical industry. I'm a little long in the tooth for a blind date. LOL.
Call me. Call me.
So the offer, I sell trucks, just think like a layer above what you sell. What people are going to, I'm just completely guessing what you do. Maybe it's like you sell like semi trucks, let's say, to companies doing that kind of stuff. Like, hey, I would want to know, how do the top companies like set up their like distribution paths? How do they think about optimizing the routes? How do they think about hiring the best people? Like you have all of these insights from the clients that you work with that you can share. with your customers. This will literally work for anything that you sell. The big thing to think about is like, Calvin, like think about how many sales leaders that we interact with on a monthly basis and your team. Those sales leaders don't interact with hundreds of their peers on a yearly basis. So we as salespeople have crazy insight into like their peers, the buyer's peers, and like how others are doing things. And like we have all of those best practices and like how people really get things done and what best in class looks like. You have to like sell that to the buyer. You have to sell that. Matthew asked, what about selling to a manufacturing company? This is kind of vague, Matthew. I don't know specifically like what you sell, but I just gave you an example with the automated welding solution. If you sell, I don't know, some sort of product that lives on the factory floor, it's like, hey, I want to share with you how X, Y, and Z peers are increasing throughput in their manufacturing plant. And we'll talk a little bit about how we might be able to support that if that's something that you care about. So like the blind date, you have to just really think, yeah, Kelly, is it the same if you sell professional services? Absolutely. I sell a professional service training. Every single VP I talk to wants to know how to get their AEs to sell for more pipeline. It's really simple. So think above your solution. Like, what is it that your customer is trying to accomplish that your solution that leads to your solution? Like that's the stuff that you want to talk about. Sorry, one more, you guys. I'm ranting a little bit, I know, but I think it's like helpful to give really specific examples. Gabrielle says we sell urban farms on rooftops as an amenity program to big real estate companies. Awesome. I want to know like what real estate companies are you working with, and like the urban farms and the rooftops, is that a way to like increase the number of people that like sign up and like want to be a tenant? Does that increase sales? I don't know what it is that the urban farms, like why they decide to bring an urban farm in, but that's the thing that you can share with them. This is like the blind date piece. It's like every single one of you could walk away after this meeting and like think a little bit about the insight right a layer above your solution that you could talk about.
Like what, if we back to your like semi truck example, what is the situation that's going on at a business that owns several semi trucks when they go get a new one? What is going on right there? What is happening? Did somebody crash a truck? Did somebody are they growing? Did they hire new drivers?
Maintenance,
Is it
maybe?
the exact same truck? Maintenance, right? Like it just goes bad, right? Like airline parts, they just go bad. We got to move them out of the plane, you know? But like put
Yeah.
yourself in that spot and like imagine it, and then go find companies that are in that position and ask for their business,
Yep.
you know?
So one last point on this, the reason why this is so important is that statistically 3 to 5% of your target market is in active buying mode at any given time, meaning that they are looking for a semi truck, right? They are looking for urban farms, whatever it might be. That means there's a whole nother 95% of your market that doesn't know who you are, that's probably not actively looking for what you sell, but they definitely want to fix the problems that your solution helps with. The way that you appeal to them is not by saying, I'd like to do a demo with you. It's, do you have this problem that all of your peers have? If so, I'd like to share with you how they're solving it. And Mark asked in the chat, like, I like this idea of a give, but as an SDR, what if I bring someone into a call with a rep who's not ready to buy? I would challenge, and I'm curious, Calvin, how you guys do this at ZoomInfo. What I would challenge is, as an account executive, I've never met one. I've never met an account executive that is so busy they cannot take a call with the right title at a company that you guys really want to work with, that like doesn't already have budget aside, that like wants to buy your product right now. It's called selling for a reason. You have to sell, right? But I'm curious, Calvin, how do you guys do that at ZoomInfo in terms of like, what's the qualification criteria that your team needs to meet in order for an AE to accept a meeting?
Yeah, that's funny that you said that. So I sat down with a new friend of mine last week that it became my friend through these webinars, and we were going over just that. And I shared, and big shout out to the Edge Delta team. See you guys. And we were going over, we have a document, we have a sheet, that says, hey, here's the segment, here are the boxes that need to be checked for that to be considered an open opportunity. And I'm popping that open right now. And it's stuff like timeline, right? Is there an existing business challenge that's worth solving for them? Do we have an economic buyer or a champion? Right? Like, is there an opportunity to close this deal within 45, 90 to 120, or 180 plus days? Where does
Is
where
there
does all this stuff stand?
is there anything that's like a little earlier in this in the pipeline stage prior to that? Like what would be the qualification criteria if I had someone, if I'm an SDR on your team
Mhm.
and I got someone live on the phone, what criteria do they need to meet in order for me to just set a meeting?
Okay, so something like they need to have a sales team.
Yeah.
It's good for them to have a product that we can affect, right?
Yep.
Like, if a company, let's say I'm selling to a marketing agency, that marketing agency has 250 employees at it. Is it possible for us to double their revenue without double their headcount? No. Simply, we will not double this marketing agency's revenue without them doubling their headcount, without
Yeah.
them doing something to their headcount, because like
Yeah.
they have deliverables, right? If it's a software company, we can absolutely do that. We can
Yeah.
absolutely do that.
So everything I'm hearing from you is basically, is this a person that can make stuff happen in the company? Is the account like meet our qualification criteria in terms of like, is it something our product can really over deliver to? What
Mhm.
I didn't hear in there was like, oh, did I establish over a cold call that they have budget for the project? Did I establish that they have a timeline for when they want to purchase it? Like, no, that's not going to happen when you're prospecting,
Yeah,
right? So
absolutely
I
not.
think that like for those of you on this call that are SDRs setting these meetings up for AEs, that's where I would really challenge you to think about like the AE should be excited to do a meeting with a qualified buyer in a good fit account, even
Mhm.
if they're like, oh my God, I'm so glad you called. I've been thinking about buying your solution, which never happens,
Correct.
right? You gotta sell.
I wanted to circle back for a second. Calvin was talking about ramping up a team. So that got me thinking about like strategy um, and like having reps practicing workflows. So how do you operationalize like training your reps and how to use that data at scale,
Mhm.
Calvin? You.
How do I operationalize training the reps?
Yeah, to use the data that they have at their tips,
Oh,
at
absolutely.
fingertips to, create the outreach and
Oh yeah.
start those conversations. I'd love to hear more about that.
I mean,
Oh,
we're
Calvin,
drinking.
Calvin,
Yeah.
Calvin, real quick, could I just frame that question for you? Like the
Yes.
what I would be really curious about, and I think other people would be, is like, do the reps write a lot of their own email copy, or is it like provided to them? Like, how much are you like supplying
Mm.
for them to use versus stuff they kind of figure out with the framework themselves? Like that balance, I
Yeah.
find a lot of our clients are like very tricky. Some of them
And
completely lock down their sequences, and the rep
totally,
cannot customize it, and then some
totally,
completely, like, the far end of it.
totally.
Hopefully that helps a little bit.
I give people the freedom to do whatever they want. If you want to go out there and do it a particular way, then do it. Especially if it's working, then do it. If it's not working, let's take a look. Let's take a look under the hood here. And 90% of the time, if it's their own copy, right? And if you guys are receiving emails from ZoomInfo, then you understand that not all of these, the vast majority of the content that we're sending out is not handwritten. It is not customized. It is not one off. But if we looked at exclusively those items, right, it all has a theme, a framework. These things are nice and short. These things are a few lines. If you could look up, have you ever heard of F type emailing? I'm sure you have, Jason. F type. Have you
Yeah,
heard that
just
before?
the kind of shape of the people are only going to read the stuff really on the left, right? And
Yes.
it should be shorter as the paragraph structure should be shorter as
Yes.
the email progresses.
Yes, because people do think they like read line by line. If you send somebody a big dense paragraph, you're never going to get it. They're never going to read that whole thing. They might read the beginning, they might read the end, they might skim something in bold, but
Yeah.
they're like, we're never getting that. So our big email copy, like my big focus on email copy is just keeping it short, and then making it relevant. You should say something funny. I have had a lot of success with the email subject: caution, contents are hot. This is not a template. And that's a pull
Yeah.
from what's on top of your Starbucks cup right now. Just caution, contents are hot. And so somebody could see that and think, wow, that's kind of funny. And I think there's a lot of stuff that I am handing to the reps. And over the last 12 months, I have learned more than I have ever learned and grown from the external folks that I'm bringing onto my team. Like, you're intended to go inbound, outbound, account executive here. This is like towards the end, the high end of my team is like towards the high end of outbound, and you're supposed to know how to do this, right? And so when we hire folks that haven't been doing the ZoomInfo thing for 2 years already, like they have such fresh ideas, and there's new things, and there's new emails, and there's new normals, and it's just been absolutely electric learning from the new folks.
Love it. So it sounds like there's you guys like to give your reps a lot of autonomy. So
Yeah.
like we're going to give you enablement around like the best practices, and like I know you guys are really framework driven, but you like to allow them to work framework of the best practices and just get really creative, which I love. Um, if if it would be helpful, like you mentioned the F-shaped email.
Hmm.
Um, we just did a big study of like 85 million cold emails, and
Amazing.
the structure I think that works pretty well is like, first line is like something relevant about them, the reason that you're reaching out. The second line should be
Yeah.
some sort of problem that you think that they're having. The third line should be some sort of social proof or value statement. Social proof, we found, dropping a similar company that you've worked with,
Mhm.
or if you sell something local, saying, hey, we work with construction contractors here in Seattle, for example, like that can increase reply rates by 40+%, just dropping an effective social proof. And then having a really good, clear call to action or some sort of offer. So it's like we call that framework the reply method. But it's like, dude, that's just like, hey, make sure there's like something in there about them at the top of the email, ideally connected to the subject line. One sentence problem statement, one sentence social proof and how I think that we can help, and one sentence call to action. Like that allows you to work like within a lot of different parameters around like how to customize that the way that you want, or to be creative or whatever it might be. But I would really encourage everyone here to, like, AI is great, but AI is only as good as the person using it and training it. So a lot of reps that we work with, I find that are just like, hey, I'm going to reach out to, Amy at ZoomInfo. Can you write an email? The AI doesn't know what the best practices really are around email. You got to feed it a bunch. Like I can't remember who it was, Calvin, someone on the ZoomInfo team last year, just a freaking AI like wizard.
Mhm.
He would just feed dozens of examples of like
Yeah.
meetings he booked with the emails, and they're all different. And it's like he trained the AI so well to write in his voice. And I just think that people are taking too many shortcuts with AI. So I love AI, dude. I am all about it. Like
Totally.
I am in my Perplexity every day, like Copilot, all that kind of stuff. But you need to know and master the fundamental frameworks around what you're trying to get it to do, so that you know what good looks like and so that you can coach it.
Totally.
So it's not going to solve your problem for you. Like if AI could do your job for you and just with little direction, you should be really worried about that, because now you're really replaceable. Like we don't need you if that happens.
100%. 100%. Like we can't lose our critical thinking. We can't,
Yep.
like, at the very least, I mean, 10 years ago, people did everything without AI. 200
Yeah.
years ago, people did stuff without electricity. And here we are
Yeah.
doing, Lord knows what. We can't.
Well,
AI
face,
is not
you
helping
know?
critical thinking, I will say.
Yep. Yep.
Yeah.
Can I make
Well,
one more suggestion, actually? Just while we're on the topic of AI, one thing that you guys can do that's like will train your AI so easily is hopefully you're using something like a ZoomInfo to record your sales calls. If you say, hey, like here's the last 15 calls I did with the persona I sell to most, and you just upload
Mm.
that into your AI and say, I want my stuff to like speak to the challenges that these folks talk about and their goals and to use their language. Like you are like probably 30 minutes of work to find those calls and to upload it and to train it. Like you are instantly training your AI to be like 10 times better than just
Mm.
asking it to generically come up with something.
Jason, I'm so glad you brought that up. In our resource center over on the right, ZoomInfo actually put out a sales coach recently called Henry. You can find the link to that in the chat. You can load your calls up there, and if you have a demo call, you can get specific with what type of call you're doing. So there's like discovery and a few other options. So check it out. It's in the resource center on the right side of your screen.
It is extremely cool, but be careful. He might yell at you. He's been known to do that in these
I mean,
Is
if
it
he's a
like
coach,
Henry, like Henry Scheck?
yeah.
Yes. Yes. Like you upload your call, and I made one for myself. I told an agent, hey,
Yeah,
whatever you're using to make this Henry agent, make one for me too. And then there's a version of
yeah.
that for cold calls, and my reps can upload their calls to the cold call, and I'll jam them up. It's
Love that.
it's absolutely beautiful.
So cool.
All right, great. So I would like to know now from a leadership perspective, how do you make sure everything, your outreach is working? Like, how do you keep improving your teams over time and,
Mm.
keep the momentum going, really? Jason, do you
Okay.
want to take that one?
So, I mean, I was actually just thinking about this. Our big thing is promotions, right? We want to be the team with all the promotions. We don't want other teams not to have any promotions. I'm sorry, folks. That's what we want. And I ran into one of my reps, and I'm just thinking back to where about 18 months ago, right before this guy got promoted, and I'm looking back, I'm like, wow, like this person turned out so great, even though we've made so many strides since this person was on the team. Like, you'd think that with all the changes and all the updates and how much better that we've gotten as a group, like it's hard to even imagine that not doing those things. Like, how did somebody possibly hit their number if they're not sending intent screenshots? How is somebody possibly hitting their number when they're not getting many voicemail callbacks? And I haven't honestly been able to find a good answer for it. But what I do know is that there is no silver bullet in what we do. There is no thing that you will say to everyone that will always work. It might work today, it might work tomorrow, it might not have worked yesterday, it might not work this time next year, but we have to just keep coming back to the well. Like, that's the only way to do it, is to constantly be improving, to constantly be improving. And it's probably more cyclical than it is vertical. You know what I mean? Like, it's probably more around like this. Hey, every 2 years, it's not standardized, but it's like, hey, right now we're talking about ACV per SDR. This isn't the first time we talked about it, and it certainly will not be the last, and we will not get to the bottom of it. But
Yep.
it's something that we have for right now. So just always trying to push the needle, push the ground, do something better, do something more. That's what keeps people fresh.
Yeah, relentless optimization, I think, is
Mm.
really big. I dropped a framework into the chat. Teach, practice, inspect, coach. It's a great framework for frontline leaders. I think where we tend to stop oftentimes is the teaching. We say, hey, go look at the ZoomInfo webinar with Calvin and Jason and Amy. They talked about the outbound equation. Go check it out. And it's like, that's the extent of the development. Teaching, I mean, I think the stat is something like 70+%. Gartner put out a stat. Reps forget 70% of what they learn in like the first day of learning it. You just can't possibly retain all of the stuff that you learn, right? So it's like the ongoing reinforcement, no different than practicing in any other sport, that makes things stick. So when we teach things, we have to facilitate practice. That's like AI makes this so easy now. Like there's just no excuse for not practicing. You as a frontline leader should facilitate practice. If a rep is really struggling with their cold call opener, I would assume, Calvin, you probably jam with them in the office and say, dude, let's, for 10 minutes, we're just going to do the opener. Do it a bunch of times. Come on, let's go. You know, you got to facilitate the practice.
I have a great drill for that, actually. If you're having a hard time on the openers, or it's sounding like too rehearsed, or you're not excited, or it's kind of robotic, I replace the name of your company with something that you absolutely love. That will make you smile, and it won't be boring. Hey, this is Calvin calling from skateboarding. How are you?
Yeah.
If your opener sounds like that, hey, this is Calvin calling from fishing. How are you? Like, you can't say that thing that you love without putting a smile on your face, and that is like very palpable on the phone.
Yeah.
So if you're
And
ever
then you
having
just
any
replace it
if you're ever
with the
replace
company.
that
Yeah.
word and then go back and forth. Hey, Calvin from ZoomInfo, Calvin from Starbucks, Calvin from
Yeah.
ZoomInfo, Calvin from Starbucks. Like, go back and forth, and eventually you can say it with a smile on.
I love that. So practice, it's so important. Like practicing, you know, I know there's like a lot of stats out there on like, you know, what percentage of communication is your body language versus your voice and your tonality and like the words that you say. Well, hey, when you're cold calling, there's no body language, okay? There's no body language. So people are just focused on your tonality and the words that you're saying, and the tonality and your enthusiasm, that's like so much more than the words that you say. If you're just like calling people and I'm like, I don't know what the heck Calvin ate for breakfast this morning, but I want to figure out what it is so I can get some of it. Like that enthusiasm is just contagious, right? So the third part of the framework is inspect. I think oftentimes what we forget to do as frontline managers is we teach and we practice and we say, hey team, go get it. And we don't listen to the calls. We don't ride shotgun with them. We don't look at the emails that they're sending. Like you should be spending a huge chunk of your time as a frontline leader coaching. That should be the majority of your job. You have to inspect. I'm a really big fan of trust but verify. I'm going to trust that you're doing the things that we talk about. I'm going to verify it. Everyone needs accountability, including myself and any other leader, right? Lastly, coach. Reps are going to love you so much more if in your one-on-ones and your team meetings, you are bringing insights into those meetings. Hey guys, I just listened to a call. Amy did this thing I thought that was really good. I would love for the rest of you to listen to that. So maybe you could try it. Versus, hey, so you didn't hit your activity target last week. When are you going to make your calls? Hey, it's Wednesday. You haven't made all your calls yet. Like, what's going on? It's like, there needs to be that part of the accountability. Don't get me wrong, but you also need to, like, as a frontline leader, actually add value. Like, treat your reps like they're customers of yours. Like, that's a really good thought exercise, actually, is that if a rep could fire you as their manager, how would you operate differently with that rep on a weekly basis? What would you do differently if they could fire you? And I think that you would try to be more enjoyable to work with. The same thing that you talked about, Calvin, with like the voice tonality and like being excited. There's a lot to, as a frontline manager, being really excited about the development of the reps. And you guys just do such a great job with ZoomInfo, like the promotion path. You know, it's like that's the thing we're hyping up. It's like, what's the next thing for you? Now let's reverse engineer that from a skill standpoint. What skills do you need to master in this role in order to get to the next step? I'm here to help you. I've been there before.
Yes.
You know?
Like, we're working right now on, like, I did the job, like I said, I was making a lot of calls, 300 calls a day, 200 calls a day, whatever it was. And I was looking at it like digging ditches, because I had certainly painted more houses and washed more dishes than I had ever done cold calls, right?
Yep.
And And I thought that that was a noble effort to do that. And like, for whatever reason, it worked for me because I've done a lot worse jobs than this one. And here I am. So I had to break myself of that. I'm really not running a team of ditch diggers. I'm running a team of like fully formed grown adults that are intelligent beings. And that's where the solution to our problems is. It's not in digging a cleaner, quicker, deeper ditch. It's in the minds of the people and feeding that. Like everybody's seen a deal close. Everybody's seen a meeting get booked. We're not reinventing the wheel on that front. We're trying to smooth the rough edges of this wheel so it goes fairly smooth down the road. And that happens here. That happens here, not cracking the whip.
Yeah,
Like
totally.
ideally, yeah.
It's like the obsession around the mastery of the craft. Like if you're really a sales professional, the cold call is the breeding ground for like all of the skills that you need to be a great seller.
Hmm.
It's the rejection. It's being able to, have someone answer a call and be really grumpy as soon as they figure out it's a cold call. And then by the end of that call, they're really excited to meet with you. Like that is a freaking art and a science right there. You know what I mean? But these are all of the skills. And if you master cold outreach and especially cold calling, you're bulletproofing your career. Like there's nothing you cannot do if you can build pipeline. This is literally the number one problem every sales org has is building pipeline. They have a ton of reps in seat that can't, for the life of them, book a meeting with inside of their accounts. That's the skill to master. Like that's the opportunity. That's what I love about sales. Every single day, unlike a sport, I used to play basketball in high school. We had 2 games a week. In sales, you have games going every hour. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like this call doesn't go well, the next one could go better. You can like the feedback loop is just so fast, which I
And you
love.
never really lose. You never really lose in sales.
Yeah.
You never really lose in sales. You can lose a basketball game. You can miss a shot. You can hit a bad shot on a golf course. You will
Yep.
not you and on my team that I have, and then also the team that I'm on of the managers, like we are so competitive. We are so competitive. And we all want that person, we want the person next to us just to go absolutely bananas. And if they win, we paid. If you
Yep.
try your hardest and you are getting competitive with somebody across the office or right next to you, or you challenge yourself, like as long as you set the right goal, second pays pretty well. So
Yep.
like we like there's never a reason not to continue to keep working hard in this game. In this game, it's especially when it comes to booking meetings, right? Like
Yep.
driving revenue is one thing. Go out there, close the deals. If you're an SDR, there's a screen between you and the revenue, or at least that's how it feels. And like trying to get through that screen is like that's what we're all here trying to do.
All right, cool. Let me recap what we've talked about today because we're nearing the end here. So I've heard the complete outbound equation includes providing creating an offer that makes it easy to say yes, targeting with your martini glass kind of approach there that you touched upon, buyer-centric messaging, using the right data, and having leadership or being a leader that trains and coaches. Is there anything I missed, or like what one thing would you want to share with the audience? Like what's the highest impact change they could make and take away today and
Mhm.
implement? What would it be? What do you think?
I think it's like saying no. It's the disqualification up front is the big
Mhm.
thing for me.
I would say what um, Jason was talking about inspect.
Mhm.
Inspect. I think if you did nothing but inspect your work, and then you also want to make more money, then you will never fail. Period. So that is such a great point there, Jason.
Sounds good. Well, we've had quite a few questions coming through. We definitely have time to take a few of these. I'm seeing a lot of people asking about like, different types of metrics. So like there was a question that came in about how many touches should you make to a prospect over a given period of time over like a 75-day period? What would be your recommendation? Is it like 15 touches, outreach, call, email?
The data is like basically it's with sequencing. We want to be multi-channel, multi-day, and multi-touch.
Mm.
So multi-day, 3 to 4 weeks is a pretty good time frame for you to just like do your outreach and then quit. You might have a higher value target that you pursue longer than that. Like there are different kind of variations, but 3 to 4 weeks is a great starting point. Multi-touch, 12 to 15 touches. Multi-channel, phone plus email plus social. So 6 email touches, 6 phone calls, 3 social touches is a great starting point if you're starting from kind of zero right now. And you can adjust from there. Knowing
Uh,
when to stop reaching out to someone
Mm.
is just as important as knowing how many times to reach out to someone.
what would you consider like success in a sequence? Is it if they like click on an email or like if you make contact? What would you qualify as working?
I mean, making contact and then the outcome that we want is booking a meeting,
Mhm.
qualified meeting. So am I getting some sort of response? Am I getting a pickup on a call? And then if I'm on a cold call, it's pickups, conversations, the number of pickups that last longer than 60 seconds, let's say, and then the number that book into a meeting. And with email, it's open rate's a bit of a vanity metric now, but like reply rate of the email and the booking rate of those emails.
And I've seen a couple of questions phrased differently come through as well here about voicemails. How I know there's like a lot of transcription now. Like, what's your point of view on using voicemail as another channel? Are we selling in voicemail or are we not?
I could take this one, Jason. Voicemails are one of those things that the purpose of voicemail is to get a call back. It's kind of like the question you just asked about the sequence. What's a successful sequence? Well, it's one that results in a book meeting, you know? So what's a successful voicemail? Well, one that gets somebody to call you back. And there's a couple of frameworks out there. Jeb Blunt is a big one. Jason, I'm sure you know. You tell him once, tell him again. I just picked one up. Then you guys are going to tell me I'm crazy. And if you're selling to salespeople, sales and marketing professionals, then probably in a good spot at this. But leaving a voicemail that is anonymous, but maybe you're like a little bit unhappy. Jason, this is Calvin Flax. Please call me back. And Jason's sitting there
Oh
like,
yeah,
oh
like
my
that.
gosh, am I in trouble?
Yeah, that's like the vague voicemail works really well.
Yes. Yeah, that's
Yeah.
a great one. And go with the flow. Talk to somebody at your company, talk to anyone else out there in the world. Say, hey, what's your voicemail? Do you get callbacks? If it's yes, try it. If it's no, go at somebody else.
Do either of you have a point of view on like time of day or day of week that tends to work best for cold outreach?
Follow the data. You should be running a pickup rate report that tells you through the dialer you're calling on when the days and times are the best. But I don't know, Calvin, what you see, but I usually see local time Monday through Friday, 8 to 10 a.m. Like the first part of the morning typically will have the highest pickup rate in the last hour of the day.
Yep.
But it's going to vary across persona, across region. Like pull the stats and let that inform the best time of day.
Yeah, I would check the data. You could ask if there's like, I asked our CRO a couple years ago, like, what's the last cold call he took? And somebody had heard that this gentleman goes to the gym every day at 5 o'clock. He wakes up at 4:30 in the gym by 4:45, 5:15, right? This person called him at that time Eastern in the morning at 5 o'clock in the morning and said, hey, James, I know you're in the gym right now. I know this is the only time that I can reach you. Here's why I called, blah, 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 did the research, heard the board meeting. And he was like, that changed me. That was a really serious work. That's a really serious work. So 10,000%, yes, the time of day matters. Not going to hold up here forever, but check out the hungry judge, the theory of the hungry judge problem. And that will help you not call people before they eat lunch.
All right, well, we're at time. I want to thank you both for joining us today. There is a survey displaying on the screen. Let us know how we did. In the Resource Center, there's also a registration linked for when Jason joins us next. We have a session coming up on the 2nd of April. We'll be talking about cold call conversion. So we hope to see you all there. Thanks again, Calvin, Jason, for joining us. Thank you, everyone out there. I learned a lot. Thank you so much.